Los Angeles Chargers and the Tennessee Titans. Chargers get the win. What was the final? 27-17. There it is.
Right up on the screen.
It's up on the screen.
As always.
Chargers 6-3. Titans fall to 2-7. Saw a fun stat on the Titans. It's not that fun, but
okay.
Did you know the Titans are giving up the fewest yards per game in the NFL defensively? We've been trying to convey every week. I think the defense is pretty good, right? Like they're better than you think. They're feisty. They're tough. It's a good defense. They're giving up the fewest yards per game, but they're giving up like 26 plus points per game. It's the most points per game allowed per NFL research. Most points per game allowed for a team that's number one in yards allowed per game.
Yeah,
it's the Titans right now.
I did not know that.
Don't you kind of feel that though? You're like, I think they're good. I think the defense is good. I mean, this is skewed heavily by the game where they gave up like 4 special teams touchdowns or whatever. But either way, it's the Titans right now.
Yeah,
I thought they played pretty well again in this game, and Levis played well overall, and they still lose by 10.
It was a very unusual Will Levis game. It was not Will Levis-y at all.
Didn't have a turnover-worthy play until late in the fourth.
And even
the game
that
was pretty much over. It was kind of tough. Yeah.
Even that was like he steps up in the pocket thinking that his left tackle's got the guy engaged, going to push him past the pocket, and instead he doesn't actually have contact with him, and the pass rusher sort of doubles back and slams into him from behind and forces a fumble. Like Will Levis had a pretty clean game. This felt like Justin Herbert against like Justin Herbert purchased from Temu, one of those like Chinese knockoff websites, Temu or Wish or whatever, where you get like the obvious replica of whatever it is you're actually buying, but for $7, and it falls apart after 3 seconds. Like that was what this game was in quarterback terms. But Levis, he had a clean game for a change. Only they just weren't good enough to win.
Yeah. 2 really nice throws to Calvin Ridley.
Yeah.
Chargers perspective, they're number 1 in the league in points per game allowed, and then from their point of view, played pretty well outside of a couple big passes from Will Levis. They've been playing really well defensively. Justin Herbert in the passing offense continued to produce, even though this game was more of the made plays when they needed to. Ladd McConkey with a big play for 37 yards, but the early season type of stat line for Herbert, 14 of 18 for 164, take care of the ball, and they ran the ball effectively, just flipped the field with some big plays. Beautiful touchdown pass to Quentin Johnston. That was really nice.
Zero turnovers, 0 turnover-worthy plays, or 0 interceptions, 0 turnover-worthy plays for Justin Herbert, he's now on like all-time record pace for like best interception rate in NFL history. That he's tracking against that. Remember the Aaron Rodgers season where he had like 4 interceptions against whatever crazy number of touchdowns he had that year? That's the greatest kind of all-time interception rate in a single season. Justin Herbert is now tracking against that with this insane. Like he is the most careful quarterback in the NFL in terms of putting the ball in harm's way.
What is he at now?
I think he has 1. Is it 1 interception in the season?
Brady
2?
had a year where he had 29 and 2.
Yeah, but it's relative, I think, to attempts that the stat is. So Rodgers that year was at 40 something and 4 or whatever ridiculous total he had, but also had a ton of dropbacks. Like had a lot of pass attempts. Where is Herbert? Herbert has 1 interception this year.
That's what I thought. A lot of turnover-worthy plays early on, but he's definitely played much cleaner.
Yeah,
in recent weeks.
I mean, he hasn't had a turnover-worthy play for like a month.
Yeah. So he got some interceptions. Some of the turnovers were fumbles earlier on, or at least the turnover-worthy plays. Yeah, I think they're finding their groove. The Chargers. I love that touchdown pass to Quentin Johnston, though. I mean, they got him matched up. Kind of misread by the Titans defense, but Herbert throws that in just a beautiful spot. They become more and more dangerous now, right? As a defense-first team. Not defense first, but defense is good, as they're playing excellent on that side of the ball. A healthy Herbert. I brought this up. I mean, I'm not trying to like diminish the Chiefs' achievements here. They beat the Chargers 17-10 in this season of things going Kansas City's way. They got the Chargers at their most depleted. Right, Herbert had 6 injuries going into the game, neither tackle. And they were just completely beat up, and all their stars were hurt. Derwin James was suspended. They were missing everybody in that game, and the Chargers lost by 7. I mean, I think they've got a shot in the rematch in Kansas City in a few weeks. The Chargers are starting to look more and more dangerous, and it always comes down to the quarterback. Even a Jim Harbaugh team, you still need the quarterback at some point.
Well, this is
Herbert's
like,
playing by far the best ball of his career the last 4 or 5 weeks.
obviously, this is like Jim Harbaugh's dream dynamic, but it's also, I think, a ton of NFL coaches' dream dynamic. If you could tell me that you are going to have a quarterback who simply will not turn the ball over and is capable of making some pretty good plays as well, like that's why game managers are still a thing. That it's kind of an attractive dynamic if you're good at everything else and the quarterback just has to manage the game and not screw up. That's why that still has some attractiveness to NFL coaches, and those guys stick around because that has value. But if the game manager, or the guy that's simply not going to make mistakes, is also capable of making some big plays, well, now suddenly you're just really difficult to beat. And that's, I think, where the Chargers are. They've got a really good defense. They can run the ball, though that's a bit inconsistent. And Justin Herbert is capable of making some big plays and being a factor in the run game. I mean, they ran in the tight red zone, they ran a straight QB sweep like they would with Lamar Jackson or, Jalen Hurts or whatever. And they ran it with Justin Herbert, and the play was like dead. It got blown up. There was a guy right in his face almost as soon as he started running to his right. Herbert just cuts, makes an ad-lib cutback and powers his way in. That's the sort of play. Remember with Greg Roman as offensive coordinator, a guy that sort of created these custom offenses for running quarterbacks. You're like, it's like an interesting hiring. I wonder if he taps into Justin Herbert's athleticism and running ability more than previous guys have. And then he was so banged up early in the season, we didn't get to see much of it. But now you're starting to see more of those designed run plays for Justin Herbert because he is big, strong, athletic, and dynamic with the ball in his hands. So you put all that together, and you end up with this team that ends up, like, that's really tough to stop because they're not going to give you free plays. You're going to have to be more than they are, which means your offense is going to have to go crazy against one of the better defenses in the NFL.
They've got more wrinkles. To bring to the table. The Chargers, they host the Bengals for Sunday Night Football next week. The Herbert-Burrow matchup, this should be great. I mean, it should be a fun matchup. But the next few weeks, we'll learn a lot about the Chargers. They're 6-3. They have the Bengals on Sunday Night Football, then the Ravens on Monday Night Football, then the Falcons, and then the Chiefs, and then the Bucs and the Broncos. Those are all good teams. I mean, the Bucs are 4-6 now, but obviously they've been playing tough, playing like a playoff caliber team. 6 straight weeks of pretty tough games for the Chargers. Then the Patriots and Raiders.
This is another one of those games where, like Bryce Young for the last couple of weeks, where his stat line kind of looks a bit crappy. You're like, but some of his best plays have been dropped. Justin Herbert's stat line, okay, he was 14 of 18, that's good, but it was like 160-something yards or whatever.
Dropped.
He had an absolute dime to Will Dissly where he's got a linebacker right in his face and drops it over a DB into his hands, and Dissly drops it in the end zone. I mean, that should have been was one of the best throws of the week and should have been one of the best plays of the week, but his receiver doesn't come up with it, so he doesn't get that in the stat line.
You're right. Yeah, that was – look, I haven't looked at the grades recently, PFF grades, but I think if you sorted the last 4 or 5 weeks, I assume Herbert's right near the top. Yeah. If not the top quarterback. So we'll see if that trend continues. He's probably right up there with Burrow, who they're playing this week, and Lamar, who he plays over the next couple of weeks. So should have some fun games here from the Chargers. Anything else on this game?
Nope. Thanks for watching all the way to the end of our video.
For more great content, click here to subscribe and here to watch another video. We'll see you again soon.